Hey, Marvel comic fans, it's Chris Boltz coming in with another comic-related video. And I mentioned in this video right here, I just made this video recently called Marvel Makes Frank Castle the Punisher Again, or rather, make Punisher great again, because I wanted to Trumpify it a little bit. And within that, I said I was going to tie this to something about the overall state of the MCU. Forgot to do that, but I decided, you know what, I want to go ahead and just do a separate video on this topic anyway. And it ties back to a video I did earlier. I got this damn little gnat flying around my room. Insects are so irritating, but I digress. I did this video a few weeks ago about this one particular scene right here about Cyclops firing his beam into the shield to Cap's shield, and how that made me lament the current state of the MCU. And the reason why I bring up both of these videos is because it ties into this article that IGN had on there that is basically talking about the current state of the MCU leading into the Fantastic Four and Avengers Doomsday, and how, frankly, no one really cares. No one cares about any of this at all. But before I get into the content, please do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. And if you watch this video all the way to the end, I really appreciate your support. All that stuff really helps me out here. So here's the title of it right again. I'll just repeat it again. This is the state of the MCU leading into the Fantastic Four, First Steps, and Avengers Doomsday. And it says, subheading, everything you need to know before diving into Phase 6 of the MCU, written by Jesse Shadeen. If you want to read this article, I will link it in the description to my video. And of course, it says right there it has spoilers, but let's be honest here. Do you guys really care about any of the spoilers that are happening in any of the current MCU, or that happened in Captain African American, or that happened in Daredevil Born Again, or that happened in Thunderbolts The New Avengers? Be honest with yourself. Me personally, I don't give a fuck. And that's sad, because I really did like the Thunderbolts and the New Avengers, and I really do want to see what happens with the team. I already know they're going to be appearing in Avengers Doomsday, which, by the way, both of the movies have been delayed to December 2026 and December 2027, respectively. And that is because of the current state of Disney Marvel. The current state of Disney Marvel is such that even though it was critically acclaimed, and I'd like to reiterate, I gave the movie an 8 out of 10, Thunderbolts is a certifiable flop. Captain African American Brave New World is a certifiable flop. Daredevil Born Again is a certifiable flop. Ironheart will be a flop. All of Phase 4 and Phase 5 are flops. Yeah, well, except for No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, but that's really not a full Marvel Cinematic Universe venture. And I guess you say Deadpool and Wolverine, which frankly, I don't know why that movie did well. I thought that movie was shit, but hey, I'm just one person, and you guys can have your own opinions about the movie. That movie did well, but again, that was treated like the redheaded stepchild by Disney Marvel. That was successful. Some people would like to sit there and say that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was successful, but it barely managed to turn a profit. That's not something you want to brag home to mama about. But again, in the case of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Thunderbolts, because of the state of Disney Marvel, both of those movies suffered tremendously, despite that the word of mouth really had overcame its opening box office weekend. And for the latter, Thunderbolts, despite the movie getting critically acclaimed by both the critics and the audience, it did not help in any way, shape, or form. Nobody, frankly, gave a rat's ass about the characters. Again, unlike me, I did. So that truly is the state of Marvel. But this article right here tries to say, you know what? We want to talk about the lore, about what's going on with it, but I'm just going to read the headings here. The Avengers versus the New Avengers. Well, does anybody really care about that? Well, I know that they dropped a hint off in the Thunderbolts. Oh, Sam Wilson's creating his own Avengers team. But wait a minute. Was Sam Wilson creating his own Avengers team in Captain African America? They alluded to it, but he never did it. He never did it. So right now, I guess what you could say is it's going to be Captain America or Sam Wilson, and it's going to be that new Falcon that's going to make that up, and which is complete and utterly nobody cares. Nobody cares and everything like that. And the idea says we're expecting Shang-Chi, Ant-Man, Thor, and Black Panther to assemble, which, again, anybody outside of Thor, and even there, Thor Love and Thunder was shitty. Do anybody care about these characters right here? Although I thought that Yelena and Red Guardian and obviously Winter Soldier and U.S. Agent were really well as Lewis Pullman Sentry, which by the way was the saving grace for Thunderbolts. While I like those performances, come on now, Sentry is a problem in and of itself with where the current state of the MCU is. You have this overpowered being that basically is the strongest thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He is stronger than that sissy Hulk that's being portrayed by Mark Ruffalo, and nobody's going to ever mention Gaia, and I'm going to get to that in a minute here, from Secret Invasion. And no, Captain Marvel does not hold a candle to Sentry. So yeah, you got all that right there. He presents a problem in and of itself. State of the Marvel Multiverse. Again, who cares about this? My view is the minute Endgame ended and they had that one scene in Loki, the first season, where when that guy opens up the drawer and he's got all those Infinity Stones in it, and he just called them paperweights, that just let me know that Disney Marvel they completely negated and undermined the entire reasoning for phase 1 through 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if Disney Marvel doesn't care about their shit, why should the audience? In fact, after Endgame, most people checked out. They stopped checking for this shit. They stopped watching this shit. And frankly, that one episode did so much damage for that going forward. It was phase 4 and 5 is a convoluted mess. I dare anyone to try to go in there and try to connect the dots and try to figure out how all this shit works. The sacred timeline. Nobody gives a fuck about the sacred timeline. What are incursions and anchorments? I don't even know. I didn't even know what the hell this shit is. And of course, that says anchor beings revealed in 2020 with Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine is not even part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Deadpool and Wolverine are not even going to appear in Avengers Doomsday. Maybe they might appear in Avengers Secret Wars. But this right here, you don't even worry about this stuff right here. This universe for X-Men universe, but then again, this universe continuity has never made sense. Does the Marvel Cinematic Universe continuity make any sense? Look at how they handled that big giant celestial being that popped up in the middle of the ocean in Eternals. It was basically a throwaway. And Captain African American doesn't solve anything. They just threw adamantium off in there. Like, wait a minute. How is it that the adamantium can be introduced to the Celestial? How do you explain how Wolverine's going to come into being in this world? Well, that doesn't make sense. And then let's not forget, where in the world were all the Eternals during the snap in the first place? Where were all those gods that were introduced in Moon Knight? I mean, where's Vision? Where's all this stuff that's happening within this world? Marvel's new young heroes. Nobody wants to see them. Nobody cares about Kamala Khan. Nobody cares about Kate Bishop. Nobody definitely cares about Iron Riri Williams. Nobody wants to see any of those characters. Nobody wants to see Wiccan. You introduced all those characters before we got a proper Namor. And no, not that that was introduced in Wakanda Forever, which again, you should have just recast T'Challa, or you should have made M'Baku become Black Panther, not his sister. I mean, you just talk about just pissing away the pooch with all that stuff there. And then where are the classic Avengers? You know, the ones that really made everything matter? Well, now Iron Man gets switched over, or Tony Stark is now Victor Von Doom, because Robert Downey Jr. got paid millions of dollars to come back and play Victor Von Doom, which is just an act of desperation. It says the new MCU has a new Iron Man. No, this is not a new Iron Man, IGN. And in fact, they even try to admit that themselves, that this is not a mantle. Let's go ahead and pull that video up here. Hold on one moment. Let me pull that up here.
The story of Ironheart is not a story about the mantle of Iron Man getting passed.
Okay, you see that right there? The story of Ironheart is not a story about the mantle of Iron Man getting passed. So no, IGN, Dominique Thorne's Ironheart is not the new Iron Man by their own admission. Steve Rogers is old. He happened to sit there and just let the whole entire world burn, basically, with a lot of all kinds of issues. Just sat silently and then became an old man. Don't know how that even worked. Don't know how he really got a brand new shield to give to Sam Wilson. Somebody tried to argue that that off screen that the brothers, what are their names? You know, the Russo brothers, the Russo brothers, saying that Iron Man had created a split timeline of some dumb shit to give Sam Wilson a brand new shield. It don't make any sense. Thor disrespected Hulk. Got some damn kid named Scar walking around, which was just thrown right off in there. When did Hulk go to Planet Scar? I know he went to that war planet in Thor Ragnarok, but when did he have this kid who's a fully grown adult now? My goodness. Hawkeye, dude, Jeremy Renner basically said, fuck you. You guys try to lowball me. I ain't trying to come back and deal with that shit. Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff is gone. She will not be back playing Black Widow because, again, Disney Marvel fucked her over with that by debuting Black Widow day and date on their Disney Plus service and just mess up all kinds of money that could come into her way. By the way, Avengers Doomsday is coming out after Spider-Man Brand New Day. It's this current. And then lastly, right here, the fallout of Secret Invasion and Daredevil Body. The fallout of Secret Invasion I think that is what permanently damaged the Marvel brand. Don Cheto's Rhodey turns out to be a Skrull, which was also all during this time that touching moment that Tony Stark had with the Rhodey when he got injured or got wiped out. Oh, it doesn't matter anymore or anything. Daredevil Born Again, that Disney Marvel Daredevil wearing a Netflix skin suit, none of that shit matters. None of it ties to anything. And of course, lastly, coming into the Fantastic Four, zesty Pedro Pascal, who can't keep his mouth shut on any type of political issues. We're getting a Sue Storm that's going to be the girl boss of the team. Johnny Storm, not the Johnny Storm that we've come to grow on, not even the Johnny Storm that Chris Evans portrayed in those Fox movies all those years ago. And Ben Grimm sounded like a sissy instead of a gruff sounding a macho man. It's clobbering time. How can you not just make his voice a little more gravelly as opposed to the voice that we actually are getting? That tastes pretty good. No. And then let's not even talk about the Silver Surfette, who should be Norn Rad Silver Surfer. So the entirety of the current state of the Marvel Cinematic Universe leading into First Steps in Avengers Doomsday is a pile of shit. A pile of shit that no one cares about. And this first comment that pops up here on the website here from this Taffer 19, the state of the MCU, it's dying a slow death because the general audience just does not care anymore. Phase 5 has been disastrous at the box office. Only Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Deadpool and Wolverine have done well at the box office in Phase 5. The rest of it has bombed. It's not good that 4 out of 6 movies in the phase have bombed. Thunderbolts is literal proof that the audience does not care anymore. It is highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes by both critics and the public, something I said earlier. It is saying it is the best since Endgame, which I do not agree with. No Way Home is far better than this movie, but again, I think it's better than Deadpool and Wolverine. Yet it has only made $330 million globally into its third weekend, and it's not making any more money after that. That movie is done. Disney has even changed the marketing to promote it as a new Avenger team. Nobody cares because you didn't build up these characters properly. And it is still not doing well at the box office. This is simply not good news. The only people that are still going to theater to see these movies are the hardcore fanboys, read men. The general audience doesn't care anymore, and that's who you need to make these movies into billions. I predict Doomsday is going to be the first actual movie, Avengers movie to make less than $1 billion at the box office. I think it will do better than these Phase 5 bombs, but it won't come close to $1 billion. I predict it will end somewhere between 700 and 800 million total globally, and that is, I can't leave it like I got to join the community, but I like that comment. And let me tell you something, 700 and 800 million total globally will mean that Avengers Doomsday will be a bomb, because we know that this movie is probably going to cost a minimum of $200 million, a minimum. And then you factor in all the marketing, and which is going to be probably just beneath that. We'll probably put that at about 150 million or something like that. So that's $350 million that this movie is going to cost. And then 700 million will be a break even. If it gets to 800 million, and I'm being generous with, I don't have the numbers in front of me or anything like that. I'm just pulling these out of my ass. But considering the cost of these movies, that is what this movie I anticipate is going to cost. Because that's what the cost of all these other MCU movies have cost. It's somewhere between 200 to 300 million, which is ridiculous. You know. So I agree with that completely, totally. And I also agree with this Zarset as well. I think we will learn with James Gunn's DCU if there really is superhero fatigue. No, bruh, I've been saying this for the longest time. When it comes to superhero fatigue, you have not been fatigued enough. But I think I will give the benefit of the doubt. James Gunn's DCU will be that Superman movie will be the ultimate test as to whether or not we really care about that stuff. And right here, Taffer is again right. It could be Marvel fatigue. That's true. No. Here's the thing. The audience doesn't care. All they know is, it's a superhero movie. They don't break this shit down to Marvel versus DC. And the reason we know that is because we can look at other DC projects that has just not done well. The Batman hasn't done well, even though it made 800 million, but that was below anything that was from the Zack Snyder universe. The Penguin, which in my view is probably the best thing to come out since Netflix Daredevil, highly rated, and ain't done shit for HBO Max. Now just HBO again, which don't get me started on that branding stuff. So this guy right here sums it up quite well, Taffer 19, about overall the state of Marvel. Nobody cares going into the Fantastic Four First Steps. Nobody cares. There is no hype. No one is talking about Fantastic Four at all. Nobody cares about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is why I say it is very important to protect your brand. Because once that thing is damaged, nobody will show up. Nobody will care. You will be ignored. Apathy for the Marvel Cinematic Universe has set in, and it is hard to get rid of that. But those are my thoughts of the current state of the MCU. Let me guys know what you guys think. What's your current thought of the state of the MCU? Do you even give a fuck about the MCU anymore at this point? Jump down in the comments and let me know. And thank you for remember to like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. And if you watch this video all the way to the end, I really appreciate your support. And remember, this is Chris Bolts signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. You guys take it easy.